Before we go any further, I would like to give a shout out to today's sponsors, Aura. I'm going to let you guys in on a little bit of secret. Aura is the sponsor of the Minnesota Timberwolves. It is a protection app that will shield you from the dangers and the problems of the dark web. The dark web, for those who don't know, can leak your information, personal information. I even had a situation happen where one of my debit cards and my credit cards were leaked to the public, and eventually people were using it to purchase stuff from Amazon. But thankfully, with the help of Aura, that can never happen to me again. Aura will help you by automatically requesting removal of your information on any part of the internet that you do not want it on. And by doing so, it will also help by reducing robocalls, those scam likely calls. You think you like that stuff? I don't like that stuff. I hate it, and I know you guys do too. Aura will give you real-time alerts anytime your information is being used without your consent. They also have a VPN that can keep you private when you go onto the internet. All your browsing history and personal information will stay safe and encrypted. Aura also protects your devices from viruses, malware, spyware, and more so the bad guys cannot break in. And if you have kids, Aura is the app for you, as it helps you manage what your kids are doing on their devices. You can restrict certain apps, set screen time limits, and make sure that they are doing their homework instead of spending too much time on YouTube. They also have a password manager that you can store and access your online passwords securely and conveniently. You may have some apps that can do these things, but with Aura you have all of these things in one, and you don't have to have 7 different apps. And if you sign up right now, you can get a 2-week free trial with my link down below in the description box and on the screen right now. And in those 2 weeks, you'll be convinced to stay indefinitely, because you would be surprised at how much of your personal information they will find within those 2 weeks. I was surprised myself. Go to aura.com/young to start your free trial today. Also, do not forget the link is in the description box as well. You know, I try to be as objective as possible when I make videos about players, criticizing them, but just know that when I say this, I'm not joking. I truly do believe that Ben Simmons is the worst player in the NBA. I mean, we're talking about somebody that really does not care about the game of basketball and is being paid as if he's a generational talent, when we all know in actuality he is a generational loser. Time to re-up YouTube. Your boy Mustard is back with another video, and I know the title seems very harsh, and I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just being objective, and the facts are that Ben Simmons looks like one of the worst players in the history of this game right now. But before we go any further, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. Also, check out my second channel. I have a video about Ant-Man Quantumania dropping over there. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Link down below in the description. But without further ado, man, let's get back to this bum, sorry ass nigga Ben Simmons. This video isn't going to be too long, because at the end of the day, I can only talk about trash for so long without me having to vomit. I mean, when you talk about a waste of talent in the NBA, Ben Simmons fits that bill perfectly. Everything from his mentality to his talent to his actual IQ, it's just all underwhelming and disappointing. If you go back to his LSU days, I'm not gonna lie, the scouts that were reporting about his motor and a lack of drive and motivation, they easily deserve a raise, because they were 1000% correct. It's as if they had a time machine to see the future. In the beginning, he was simply lacking the motor to be great, but now he's lost the ability, partially due to injuries, which I'll give him somewhat of a pass there, but it's mainly due to his own laziness, because I commonly hear people say, oh, he's not as athletic as he was in his Philly days, and obviously it's due to the hernia. And my response to that is, 1, stop making excuses for this bum ass nigga, and 2, Ben Simmons at 70 or 80% of his former athleticism, or hell, even 60 or 50%, is still more athletic than most of the NBA. And it's not like Ben Simmons hasn't suffered injuries for a good chunk of his career. I mean, let's not forget that even before the back hernia, he had a playoffs that he missed in the bubble due to an injury, and he missed his actual rookie season due to a foot injury as well. So if injuries are your excuse, I don't even think that that's a valid one, because at the end of the day, he's injury prone. Face the reality here. But outside of the injuries, because I don't want to give him too much of a pass, Ben Simmons is just a bum. In Philadelphia, to me, the problem never was his shooting. It was the lack of aggressiveness. He has all the tools in the world to be a top 10 or at bare minimum a top 15 player in the league. He's 6'10", he was athletic, he was a gifted passer with a high IQ, he could push the pace due to those things, and he was playing for a team that was building mainly around him than the best player in Joel Embiid because they wanted to accommodate his flaws. I mean, the foundation for him to succeed was right there. All he had to do was put in the work, but he showed up every season and didn't even try to take jump shots. And I don't want to hear anything about his defense because in Philadelphia, everybody knew he was an elite defender. The problem always was his offensive issues. And for the most part in the regular season, even though he had his problems, I would say he was fine offensively in Philadelphia, or at least he was passable. The issue with Simmons though was that in the playoffs, this guy consistently regressed and didn't learn from his past mistakes. Against the Celtics, that 1-point game was embarrassing. And sure, you could say that was his rookie season, but that should have been enough of a wake-up call for him to understand that he needs to improve. Unfortunately though, he didn't do that as he showed up the next year the exact same player that was obviously improved defensively, but you could argue regressed offensively come playoff time. Because when they faced the Raptors, they basically just forced him into a dunker spot player. That's it, a dunker spot guy. And sure, you could say they took the ball out of his hands and put it in Jimmy Butler's, but I'm not surprised. Jimmy Butler at least is aggressive. He at least has gravity of his own. The defense can at least respect him to some degree because they know he's going to actually put pressure on them, unlike Ben Simmons, who's just gonna do nothing with the ball. You can't run a pick and roll with this guy. He's not gonna shoot shots off the dribble. He's just gonna do a straight line drive and then pass it to some shooter in the corner at the end of the shot clock because he has no bag. And then on top of that, his free throw shooting was a big problem. The guy didn't want to score because he didn't want to get to the free throw line, which leads into what happened the next year that he was in the playoffs with the Philadelphia 76ers. Because after missing the bubble playoffs due to an injury, Simmons in 2021 had the worst experience of his basketball life. Literally from round one, we could smell a disaster coming as Hacker Simmons went into full effect. Because let's be real, the Wizards had no business making some of those games competitive or even winning a game in that first round series, but because Ben Simmons can't make a free throw, that was the result. Then against the Hawks, as we all saw, in the fourth quarter, this guy was a shadow. You wouldn't have even noticed he was on the court. And the thing that annoys me about that series isn't just the fact that he couldn't split his free throws. It isn't just the fact that he lacked aggressiveness. It's the fact that anytime that he didn't have the ball, because we know that he can't have the ball in his hands in these late game situations for obvious reasons, it seemed like he was not happy about it and he did nothing. He would just sit at the dunker spot, wouldn't even try to cut off the ball, wouldn't try to set screens, wouldn't try to box out. He would just stand there and do absolutely nothing. And that is the sign of a player that just doesn't give a fuck. And after that embarrassing ass scene against Atlanta where he passed up an open dunk on Trae Young and went out in shame in Philadelphia, instead of using that as motivation, which all great players do, he decided to do the opposite and be a bitch for a whole year and not even play. Now, I'm not gonna question the validity of his mental health, but let's not forget that in that press conference, he said that he planned to play, and guess what? He didn't see a lick of time on that court because he's a scared loser that doesn't want pressure, and when he saw that Kyrie and KD were struggling to carry that horrible supporting cast, he knew that there was going to be pressure on him to actually fill in those holes. And it's wild that in the playoffs, he was targeting game 4 for his return, but once he saw they were down 3-0, he was like, yeah, I'm gonna just chill. And one would think that the next year he would come back with a vengeance. I mean, you can only go out pathetic so many times. The bar has already been lowered and now you're in a perfect scenario, and you called it something that was gonna be scary with you, KD, and Kyrie. All you had to do was just be your old self, and you can't even do that right. I understand the hernia is what it is, but this guy is the worst player in basketball. For starters, the one thing that he's brought to the court in the past, his defense, that fell off a cliff. He is no longer a good defender. At best, he can be serviceable in spots due to his size, but unfortunately, that's just not enough. He's a foul machine, he doesn't have a high IQ anymore, and when you combine that with his offensive limitations that are through the roof now, because he lacks aggressiveness, he lacks confidence, he can't finish, he obviously has no jump shot, he's not an effective roller. Hell, even when he's on a fast break, he slows himself down because he's scared of getting fouled at the rim. Because newsflash, he's shooting below 50% at the free free throw line. Like the coward he's always been, it's at an all-time low now. This guy is averaging 6, 6, and 6. What an embarrassing loser. He was the first overall pick, and now at age 26, when he's supposed to be in the middle of his prime, he's a fucking triple single machine? On top of that, I truly do think he's faking some of these injuries. The guy got hit in his eye and then went out with a knee injury. What kind of stupid ass shit is that? Mind you, this was the big piece that they traded James Harden for. James Harden. I mean, I know it ain't Houston Harden, but the guy is still having one of the better years of his career, at least as a playmaker right now in Philadelphia. I mean, the guy can give you 1/4 of production that's better than anything that Ben Simmons has given me over the last 5 months. And it'd be one thing if Ben Simmons' contract was gonna expire at the end of the season, but unfortunately it isn't. This guy got paid $33 million last year to do nothing. He didn't play. This year he got paid $35.4 million to play 42 games of mediocrity and trash. Next year he's owed $37.9 million, and I assume he's still gonna be hot dog water. And then in the final year of his contract, he's owed $40 million. $40 million for this sorry ass nigga. I don't know Ben Simmons personally, maybe he's a nice guy, but from what we've seen in his career, it doesn't seem like he's actually interested in being a basketball player. He's just more interested in making money and being a celebrity. Maybe next time focus on your actual profession instead of trying to fuck Megan Thee Stallion and Kelsey. But hey, that is just my opinion, you guys. If you disagree, let me know down below in the comment section. Also, do not forget to check out the Off the Grid podcast. We just released episode 118 yesterday, where we talked about the Lakers, the Clippers, the Mavericks struggles, and plenty of other topics around the sports world. Make sure you go and show some love. The link is down below in the description box. This is your boy Young Mustard signing out. You guys stay safe and have a blessed day. Peace.